Our next speaker is a Chinese-Burmese creative born in Musei, Shan State of Myanmar. She graduated from Columbia College Chicago in May of 2019 with a bachelor's degree in filmmaking and a focus in directing. She is a pole dancer, a YouTuber, a filmmaker, and a musician, and will be releasing her first EP this December. Her ambitions are to be financially independent, to be happy, to be a lifelong learner, and to elicit positive change. Please welcome to the stage, Coco Hong.
Hello, my name is Coco Hong, and I have a very complicated relationship with hair. So this was in Yangon in Myanmar, which is my homeland. In Myanmar, Golden Dome pagodas are more ubiquitous than 7-Elevens are in Chicago, and it is home to one of the largest, most magnificent pagodas, the Shaidagon. Growing up in a world that was closed off for more than 50 years and once known to the outside world as Burma, it probably seems odd that one of my biggest struggles growing up in Myanmar was an anxiety disorder. Let me explain. So I would pluck out my hair, and at first it wasn't even my own that I would start plucking. My aunt raised me, and as a way to get into her good graces, I would pluck out her white and gray hair because she wanted me to. This was in Yangon, where I spent 10 months out of the year going to international school, and the rest 2 months out of the years where summer I would spend with my parents in Musei, my hometown in Upper Shan State, on the border of China. In Musei, I would go to Chinese school, and this was very boring, and I would be sitting in class, getting used to just the mundaneness of life, and that's when I discovered that I had knuckle hairs. And my aunt had conditioned me into having that little positive reinforcement of aha moment after I would pluck out her hair. So I started plucking out the knuckle hairs with my fingers, which required a certain sense of precision and boredom. I wasn't the best student. A couple of days later, the knuckles hairs ran out, and so did my toe hairs. I had plucked out my toe hairs at home with a pair of tweezers, which I could have done at Chinese school, but I didn't because it wasn't going to be socially acceptable to whip out your leg and put it on the table and start plucking. That's kind of gross. So I ran out, and I had no other options. I moved onto my eyelashes. I started plucking. I would take one out, and then I saw in American movies that you make wishes on your eyelashes, so I wish for more eyelashes. Unfortunately, it did not come true, so I guess the eyelashes that you pluck out and make wishes on don't work. And after looking at a photo of myself, I realized that I had to stop doing myself a disservice by plucking out my already short and stubby eyelashes. So I moved the battle upwards to my eyebrows. I was very anxious, and by this time it was exam time in Chinese school, so as the stress went on, I would pluck to relieve that stress, and after the exams end, so did my eyebrows. So after that, I realized I had to stop, so I moved the battle upwards to my hair. So I have kind of thick, straight, luscious hair. My hair is mostly straight like I am, but there are some curly textured hair that I had coined to be or and it was known that these type of hair made your head itch, and even though my head wasn't itching, I had started to feel for those, and I would pluck them out. I tricked myself into thinking that I was doing myself a favor by reducing the amount of itchiness that my head would ensue, but my mom had started to notice by then, because plucking your hair is so much more exaggerated movement than anything else that I had been plucking, and she always told me to stop. I could write a book about the things that my family has said to me about my hair pulling habit. One being that I look like a monkey picking for lice, which made me feel so angry and ashamed because I was already cursing myself for doing this, like inflicting this sort of pain and embarrassment upon myself. I did not take that from my family. So moving on. Puberty, what a fun time. Zits emerged and I started to get more texture on my face and I started to pick at my skin on top of the hair pulling that I was already doing, which turned into more acne and more scars because of the transferring of bacteria. As a way to redeem my skin, I became a skincare expert. I was washing my face regularly and I also visited a dermatologist for over a year. But it did not help. I was still picking at my skin and there were craters and scars and acne littered all across my face like a warning sign. Do not approach. She's disgusting and dirty. That was not fun. Eventually, my armpit hair and my pubes started to grow in, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, gone. I shaved them, and after shaving them, the hair at the surface of the skin became thicker and therefore easier to pluck. And I have spent so many times, I've even lost track of how many times I've plucked out every single hair of my pubes. After I have gotten every single thing out down there, and my back is aching, I would feel a morbid sense of satisfaction. My pubic region was very littered with like scars, open sores, infections, bumps, and ingrown hair. And it only got worse because the more that there was, the more I would pick at it. And this was kind of a blessing in disguise because it was private, no one was seeing it, unlike my face, which had a very negative impact on my mental health. Like I was going out with it, people were seeing me with it, I was so embarrassed to be seeing with my face. Eventually, we got high-speed internet, and I discovered this girl, her name is Becky, and she talks about trichotillomania. Trichotillomania is a hair pulling disorder where you can't control it, you can't stop, and it falls under the umbrella term BFRB, body focused repetitive behavior, and another BFRB is Trichotillomania, which I also have. It is a skin picking disorder, and BFRBs are anxiety driven but can be self-soothing in the moment. Other forms of BFRBs include picking at your lips, biting your nails, or chewing at the inside of your mouth. I'm sure you guys know at least some friends that do this, or maybe you have a very, very mild form of it. After learning from Becky, unfortunately not with the good hair, this is what she said about trichotillomania. Trichotillomania is not just a battle of fighting urges to pull out your hair. It's about dealing with the hair loss, and I completely agree because I have plucked out I've been glued to the mirror, like just plucking out my eyelashes or my eyebrows or picking at my skin, and after like coming to my senses, I would realize how much hair I had lost. And it's completely isolating and so lonely in that moment. This is how I saw myself without any eyebrows. The painting I did, I think, in senior year of high school. So I was really struggling. Okay, let's give it a moment. Okay, after directly benefiting from the positive effects of YouTube.
Everybody, my name is Coco. I'm 17 years old. BFRB Awareness Week spans from October 1st. Today is October 3rd to the 7th. This is me.
After directly benefiting from the positive effect that one YouTube video can have, I decided to start my own channel. So BFRB Awareness Week is when people suffering from this disorder would answer questions about the specific type of BFRB they have, and I use this as a way to tell my high school friends that I had it. So the high school I went to is called YS, Yangon International School, where dyeing your hair was not allowed. So as soon as I graduated, naturally I got a hair makeover. I had never bleached or dyed my hair before, and I was so excited. After I bleached and dyed my hair, I was going to be cured, and I was no longer going to be pulling because I would love it. Like, it won't be just boring and black anymore. I got my hair bleached twice and filled with Technicolors, which changed the texture of my hair. But unfortunately, it did not stop my fingers from wandering up and still plucking. For college, I decided to go to Columbia, not the Ivy League school, but Columbia College Chicago. I was so excited because my entire life, I have been waiting for college. My family was strict, so college meant freedom. And with this newfound freedom, I experimented. I went to fast food restaurants I've never been, attended on-campus events and also continued to play with my hair. I bleached and re-dyed as the colors from the original makeover faded. And then the 2016-2017 Chicago winter and the polar vortex banded together and said, time to destroy cocoa. Did you know that depression can be linked to memory loss? After finding out about this, my knack of wanting to take so many photos and videos started to make sense to me. I was not doing very great. It was my first winter in the States and I was alone. My roommates had gone home and it was a dark time. So I decided to distract myself. I signed up at a mixed martial arts gym, which took the nervous and anxious energy away from my hair pulling into learning a new sport and documenting it to put it on YouTube. The distraction of hair pulling started because I did not want to be in Chinese school, and now I needed a new distraction to distract myself from this distraction, I know. So at Columbia, I signed up for a 10K to a half marathon, to a full marathon. I also enrolled myself in the Columbia counseling services, which if you're a student and not taking advantage of, you really, really should. I attended and joined different groups in varying levels of success. Dance, I did not make it, soccer, volleyball, Asian student organization, and outside of college, I joined a pole studio. So in pole class, instructors often encourage you to take videos so that you can track your progress. So I was doing it. This is kind of the same trick that I'm doing in both videos. In the right, I'm doing way better than the left. And I was now documenting for a different reason. Instead of documenting my losses with hair and skin, I was now documenting growth, and that felt so good. In December of 2018, after finishing up with semester in LA through Columbia, I went back home. It was my first time to go back to Myanmar in 1.5 years, and I really missed family. I had a journey similar to that of Julia Roberts in Eat, Pray, Love, but I call mine the Eat, Pluck, Love. First, I ate. I tried anything from delicacies like fried insects to mounds of durian. Anything I could get my hands on, I ate it. And then it was time to pray. I had been away from my country for so long, I really wanted to reconnect with my culture. So in the first week of 2019, I decided to be a nun for 3 days at a Buddhist monastery. There was an option to be a yogi, which is kind of the same thing, but it didn't require you to shave your head. At this point, I had been struggling with hair for about 10 years that I wanted to just start fresh, so I decided to be a nun. I was very nervous to not have any hair because it had been my crutch for so long. And I was super surprised when I started crying as the nuns were shaving my head. In the monastery, my time was, it like amplified. 1 hour felt like 10. I had to wake up at 3 in the morning, and there were so many sessions of meditative things that I had to sit through, and it was so frustrating because I did not want to be there. I know I chose to be there, but there was no hair left for me to pull, and I was trying to escape my thoughts, but I couldn't. And that's when I realized that I no longer had any hair to pluck, but only food to eat, people to love, and time to pray. So my journey went from eat, pluck, love to eat, pray, love. I have not cut my hair since January, and this is the growth that I have now. It's growing way slower than I want it to, but that's just my hair. I have a very complicated relationship with hair, which I am never into something good, and I am living in LA now and still experimenting and trying new things. I will be releasing an EP before the end of this year, which now that I've said out loud, I have to follow through. So I will be documenting this. Thank you for joining me on my journey. My name is Coco. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.